Welcome back to Sunrise. Today we'll turn our attention now to the 2015 general elections, which will happen soon, as has been rescheduled. Mr. Sebastine Hon is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He joins us via Skype from our studios in Abuja. Morning, and thank you for joining us today, Mr. Hon. Let's get your view, first and foremost, about this, the recent matter, which was reported in the dailies today, that a court in Sokoto, a federal high court precisely, ruled yesterday that it's, no, not yesterday, but it ruled recently that it's unconstitutional that the military be deployed for elections, and that if that has to happen, it must have taken recourse to the National Assembly, which would enact such laws. Many people are speaking about the impact that the role the judiciary can have in these elections. They think that the judiciary can make or mar these elections. Now, with respect to this ruling, we've always deployed military at some point in some elections lately. How do you see this judgment affecting the elections, whichever way?
First and foremost, I will commend that judge that gave that judgment. And let us also remember that the Federal High Court is a very important court established for the Federation of Nigeria. And the point they ruled on is a constitutional point. I totally agree with them, and I also have to expatiate further. The Nigeria, under our constitution is to concentrate on duties. And if, and only if, there is civil insurrection, that they can be drafted, yet with the approval of the National Assembly. So it is not proper for the Nigerian Army to be deployed for normal civil duties, for instance, during elections. In that context, therefore, I agree totally with the Federal High Court, Sokoto, that gave that judgment, and I expect that it should be complied with. The Nigeria Police Force has been established by Section 214 all the way to 215 of the Constitution to tackle civil issues. They are the only body constitutionally imbued with powers to tackle such civil issues, except where there is so much commotion or open conflagration well beyond the powers of the police that the Nigerian Army can be drafted. Even then, the National Assembly must be in the know of that deployment. So I agree completely with the Federal High Court judgment, except if the Court of Appeal and subsequently the Supreme Court finds otherwise. In my own humble opinion, that judge was right in that judgment.
Well, another matter happens to be this one that is in court at the moment over the use or otherwise of the temporary voter cards in addition to the use of the permanent voter cards. They cite different sections of the 1999 Constitution, part of which is, I think, Section 77, subsection 2. They also cite the Electoral Act, I think that's Section 25 or 26, sub 1, that residents, if you've attained the age of 18, you should not be disenfranchised. And some have the temporary voter cards, but they don't have the permanent one. And they think, insofar as they've attained that age, they have the temporary cards, they should be allowed to vote. If the court rules in favor of them using the temporary voter cards alongside the permanent ones, don't you think that that will ultimately affect, to a large extent, the way the elections turn out?
Well, I think the matter is sub judice. We are expected to give only fair and moderate comments on it. I am not in that matter. I do not know the details, but if I should proceed from what you have just said, there will be great level of confusion if permanent voters cards and temporary voters cards are used coterminously. it will not help the system, and the result of the election will not be fair at all. Now, I want to expand the horizon of my explanation to also refer to the Constitution. Part 1, paragraph 15 of the 3rd schedule to the Constitution has given the Independent National Electoral Commission power to organize elections. And that power has not been limited in any way. It has also not been trammeled or restricted or constricted by the Constitution. Mind you, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So when the Constitution speaks, every other law must bow. I have carefully listened to arguments that the Electoral Act in Section 52(1)(b) has outlawed the use of electronic machines for voting. What INEC is parading is not a voting machine. INEC is parading a card reader, which is only supposed to regulate the accreditation. After the accreditation, we still have ballot papers where voting will be done manually. So for INEC to be deprived of the power to use card readers, the Electoral Act must come clean on that issue. The Electoral Act has not outlawed the use of electronic machines for accreditation. What has been allowed in express terms is the use of electronic machines for voting. These are two processes that are apart, even though they are part of the larger whole. Now, having said that, INEC has extended, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of the knowledge of most Nigerians, the period within which people can go and collect their PVCs. It's an ongoing process. I think the last time I read of it was that they extended to March the 8th, which is more than 3 weeks from now. Democracy is election by the majority. There's no way we expect that everybody will vote in an election. And if we also study the history of our various elections, this is the first time we are collecting as much as 40 million. 40 million people, rather, are ready and willing to vote. Even when the June 12th election took place, I think less than 20 million people voted. Yes, our population has increased, and 68 million people have registered to vote. If INEC has attained, as we speak, 40-something million collection of permanent voters' cards, and other people are being told to go and collect, they are not going, or a lot of certain things are happening which are delaying this. That minority cannot tie the majority down, because I've told you that democracy is ruled by the majority. So if majority cast their votes, yes, it's not good. One would expect that 100% of persons that register to vote should come out to vote, but practically it has never happened anywhere. We have people who have died, we have people who have relocated, we have people who are unwilling to go and collect these cards. So when you aggregate all these factors, you will come to agree with me that there's no way we attain 100% collection of PVCs and 100% voting on that day. So insofar as the process is ongoing, let us give INEC some space, and let us not be pessimistic, let us be optimistic. Indeed, let us support INEC to cross this hurdle on the 28th of March, 2015.
Well, how do you see this proceeding? Because if you're saying, I was following a conversation talking about the majority having their cards already, but what would you say if after the elections people say that 20 million could have tilted the vote of the remaining 44 against a particular candidate?
You see, that is the beauty of democracy, because which candidate will now claim that the 2 million that I didn't collect belong to my party or were willing to vote for me? How can you prove that? It's not possible. In fact, we have had similar instances in the election petitions where certain local governments or wards did not vote. The Supreme Court has always held that for you to prove to the hilt that aspect of your challenge, you should be able to also prove that those people that didn't vote would have voted for you. And nobody has been able to prove that. We are talking about a small number of votes in wards or local governments or even some few states. So it is up to the person saying that 20 million people would have voted for me to assemble those 20 million people to come and testify in court to show that if they had voted, they would have turned the scale in my favor. It's not as easy and as simple as that. So either way, both parties in this contest, but the two major contestants will lose. But Nigeria must move. We can't be tied down by the same arguments that because not all PVCs are collected, we should again postpone elections. It is not plausible. It is not good. And it's not, it should not be supported by all lovers of our fledgling democracy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hon, Mr. Sebastine Hon, speaking with us from our studios in Abuja. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Well, that's a wrap today on the program. We thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Okay, I beg your pardon. We'll be back after the break. Join us again.